Pretty good. We are live on YouTube. I am trying to get us up on Instagram. Give me 1 second. Waiting for things to connect. Here we go. Go live on Instagram.
Up.
We are up. We are live across the board.
How many bars we got on there?
Oh, I don't know. Looks like more than we did before. So,
okay.
Hopefully it'll hold us for a bit. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Dwayne? Mr. Groundfog? Tiberius Gibbelin, how are you?
Hopefully some more deals. We got a code for you coming later.
Later in the podcast.
All right, we're live on everything going on.
Well, let's see. Yep, we're live on everything. People are joining. Well, while Mike is grabbing the memory card before we actually start the podcast stuff, how is everybody doing today? Today?
Little Freudian slip there, bud.
Hey, try to point your mic like at you. So, yeah. There you go.
Lots of adjustmenting. What's up? What's new out there? What is new out there?
It's hot.
It is hot.
It's hot. Today's the last hot day for a while, though, it looks like.
Yeah.
It's going to drop in the 70s.
I'm not complaining. It's better than the cold.
No, it's not.
It is hot.
Itty bitty little memory card. All right.
They asked if you guys had some tornado fun.
We had tornado warnings. It wasn't a big deal, but there was a warning. I was eating wings while I was warning, so I wasn't worried about it. I'm like, take me, Jesus. I'm just going to eat my wings. I'm not going to complain.
There's worse ways to go.
100%. It was an all-you-can-eat wing buffet, so I was just eating my wings and waiting for the tornado.
I'm going to be down in Florida in 3 weeks.
For that worship conference?
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, yeah, the week of Labor Day. I'll be down there.
I think the question is, will it be hotter in Texas in 3 weeks where I'm going to be down there, or is it going to be hotter in Florida?
I would say hotter in Texas from a heat perspective.
More humid
in Florida.
Because I was in Florida and Texas that same year.
True.
And Texas was hotter, but Florida was more humid.
Yes, pure dad mode, 100%. I was watching the storm and eating wings. It was the greatest combination I've ever had.
All right, I think we got everything we need now.
All right.
Nate, you want to...
What do I need to do?
Okay.
We're all live.
We're all live.
It's up to you now.
All right, hit record. Welcome to Life, Liberty, and Equipped podcast. I'm Graig Davis, founder of Neomag, and a firm believer that life is worth living boldly. Liberty should be used for good, and we all have a calling to be equipped to pursue it. Every week, we explore what it means to live with intention and carry the tools and mindset that prepare us for whatever comes. We'll dive into topics around the freedoms we cherish, the gear we trust, and the skills that equip us. This is more than a podcast. It's a mission. Life, liberty, and equipped to pursue it. Let's get started. We're coming to you live on Neomag YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook accounts. We'll be bringing your live comments into the conversation today. If you're listening to the recorded podcast, you can catch us every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and be part of the live. You can get involved with us on our Discord server. Link is in the chat and show notes. If you're part of the Neomag Insiders Club, we'll have a discount code ready for you later in the show. Insiders Club is free to join, and you'll get access to exclusive episodes, discounts, and more. You can sign up using the pop-up on our website, theneomag.com. Also hosting with me today is Nate Hills, Michael Billings, and Tiberius Gibbon. What's up, guys?
What is going on?
Hello, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm
We missed you.
very excited to be back.
Did we miss him? I mean, I missed not running the board.
Yes.
Yeah, I bet.
And I didn't schedule it wrong because I didn't have to schedule it. Apologies to those who joined last week an hour in advance of the podcast. That was my fault.
Well, I really miss being with you guys. I wasn't able to watch live during that time slot. We were busy on vacation, but that evening I was very excited to pull up the podcast and listen to it. And you guys did a great job. It was awesome.
It's true. Nailed it. Did a fantastic job.
Did a great job.
Thank you.
There's a lot of things to do. That's why like each one of us kind of have a different job, except for Tib. He just sits over there looking pretty.
Lucky.
Uh-huh.
Well, now he has a job of not plugging in his mic case so that
Yeah.
you know
don't do that again.
he gets interference.
We were talking before this because we are probably going to have some camera difficulties in a little bit here. We'll see.
Well, you'll still be able to hear us.
Yeah.
You just won't
There's
necessarily
a
be able to
chance
see
that we
us.
might lose the camera.
Temporarily.
But yeah, worst case scenario, you just have to listen to us. It's probably actually better that you don't get to see us and you just get to listen to us.
I feel like I'm pretty, but that's fine.
Pretty something.
That's true. We did get a question. Dwayne is asking where he can get a flag. Neomag flag.
Ooh, there's only 2 of those in existence.
Dose.
And actually, this one might be getting replaced soon. I started, my buddy Jeremy.
Yes, I do know your buddy, Jeremy.
Jeremy, a friend of mine, started a side hustle making some really cool like backlit signs. And so I actually texted him this morning. I was like, hey, I want to get our podcast logo
Ooh,
with this like translucent backlit sign back behind me.
that'd be cool.
So hopefully we won't have this flag up here. Yeah, it's going to
That'd
be
be cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
It's going to be awesome. So,
Patriotic Penguin hung his drawstring bag on his wall
ooh,
as a mini flag.
yeah, there you go.
So-
just use a drawstring and
There you
just
go.
cut it out, make it a teeny tiny little flag.
Little itty bitty flag. Be pretty good. Pretty cool. Pretty
Awesome.
cool.
So what's new with you guys, Nate?
Oh, well, last Friday, my in-laws took my daughter to go see Frozen, a play, one of my mother-in-law's coworkers' kids, or something along that lines. Mother-in-law's coworkers'
Gotcha,
kids,
okay,
Tongue
and or
twister.
something along those lines. I'm not really positive. Put on a play, Frozen Junior. My daughter is obsessed with Frozen, so they took her up to a play. So my wife and I took my son bowling for the first time, which was actually a lot of fun. It was cool. He did not want to use the little rolly thing where you kind of cheat and set the bowling ball on top and roll it down. We did put bumpers up. Just
He's young.
he's young. It's hard. He's 6. We did put the bumpers up, but we didn't use the rolly thing. He really wanted to roll it on his own. So he was trying to roll it primarily granny style, between the legs. And then towards the end, he started actually using the finger holes. He's really skinny. He can't swing it, but he can at least grab onto it with the fingers and kind of toss it. It was really neat to see him trying to like grow even in that moment and do it the big kid way. He was watching some of the other kids that were bowling and they were doing it the correct way by bowling with the fingers in his holes. He's like, I really want to try it that way. I was like, bud, you can do it however you want to. If you want to do it between your legs, you can do it that way. If you want to bowl the way it's supposed to be, you can do it that way. It's up to you. The real bummer is my wife beat me the first game. Solidly beat me the first game. Her first frame was a strike. She turned around, looked at me. It was shocking. Unfortunately, the lanes we went to, the bumpers were not automatic. They were either up or they were down.
Yeah.
So the first game, she got 2 strikes off the bumpers, which I just told her was cheating. You can't
Protest that game.
You can't count those as a real strike. But anyways, it was a lot of fun watching him trying to be a big kid, even in the course of two. We only played 2 games. In the course of 2 games, going from a little bit nervous about bowling to I want to bowl like everyone else is. I want to bowl like a big kid. So that was pretty cool. So it was fun. It was a fun weekend.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have I don't know, it's a love-hate with bowling. There's some comedian has this line that says, with bowling, there's 2 responses to bowling. It's 1, hey, wouldn't it be hilarious if we went bowling? Or, hey, we should go bowling. It's one or the other. It's either we're going to go because this is going to be kind of ironic and funny, and there's just nothing else to do, or we're going to go and I'm going to bowl a 290 tonight or something like that. Yeah.
I think my best score has been like a 150.
Yeah.
I
couldn't even tell you
It's one of those that I'll get an occasional strike. I do better picking up. What is it? Not a
Spare.
Thank you, a spare.
Yeah.
I do better job picking up spares than I do getting strikes. So I'll break 100 most of the time, but 150 is about as good as I'll get. I enjoy bowling, but I go twice a year,
Yeah.
so it's not like I practice. You can't improve on something that you don't do. So
I mean, here in Ohio, it's what you do because you're cooped up all winter and you want something to do, or it's stupid hot and humid and you want to be inside doing something.
Yeah,
it
was fun though.
That's your 2 times a year you go. Once in the winter, once in the summer.
I'm going to see.
I think it's fascinating how
It's true. Buy my own bowling shoes and bring a bowling bag in, all that.
how a bowling alley and the airport are the only 2 places you can drink during the day and nobody looks at you funny.
Drink a lot. Drink a
You
lot.
go Sunday morning at 10 in the morning and people got pictures of bears just like they do at the airport.
And nobody's going to say anything about it. In fact, it's almost expected that you do so.
And Mike, how'd you shot your second major USPSA event this weekend? How'd that go?
It was good. I didn't get rained on. So that's
a
a
plus.
huge benefit. My first major, we got completely soaked. So all of the guys were anticipating a washout where it was just going to be wet, cold.
That wasn't
and
this
hot.
time. That was the first time.
The first
Yeah,
time,
first time
we
was-
just got drenched. The drive was a little long, but getting to Michigan, getting to see familiar faces, guys that I haven't seen in quite some time outside of events, it was just nice. The major itself, let's just say there were good stages and there were terrible stages. So going into it, we'd been super busy just the last month and a half. Honestly, we've been so busy nonstop, but the last month and a half was some of the top product launches of the year.
Yeah.
We have not had an opportunity to really train. I have not had an opportunity to train.
Yeah.
And it kind of showed up when I went out to the range. Had some really phenomenal stages, but overall was not where I wanted to be. So it's back to the drawing board, back to the simple stage planning, exercise, get prepped for it, and be mentally into the game. However, I will say this. First stage had a procedural, like it's awful to get a procedural in the first stage. Like that's not a way you want to start it. But I had the best squad. Like behind me was all my friends from back here in Ohio. And then right there in the squad was guys from our local matches. And they're like, that doesn't matter. Shake it off. Like you got all day. You got 8 more, 9 more to make it up. Let's go. So the fellowship with the guys and just like pushing you. And that's when I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Yes, I want to be competitive. Yes, I want to see where I stand amongst amazing shooters. But I was like, yep, it's going to be a good day. Regardless, we're going to have fun with this. Outside of being soaking wet and muggy and hot, it was a good major. I'm glad I went last minute.
And that's where the fun is anyways. It's just hanging out with the guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have to remind myself when I shoot competitions, I have the big state shoot coming up. Actually starts tomorrow for sporting clays. I have to remind myself, this is a big shoot. Would I love to do great? Heck yeah, I would. But at the end of the day, this doesn't affect my take-home pay. This is literally a game that means nothing in the grand scheme of things. I have to try to keep that mindset in balance with also like, okay, let's go and actually let's work. Let's do the best I can. And but trying to balance the two. I tell myself hey, this is just a game when I'm doing really poorly. When I'm doing really good, I'm like, this isn't a game. This is life. And it's
I am the best ever.
I mean, it'd be different if it was your career.
Right.
If you were shooting for sponsors, if you were depending on this as a income, that puts a little more pressure on it.
Yeah.
For you, you can win stuff. It's not that you can't win stuff. And you should put effort into it if it's something that you desire to do well at. But does it ultimately hurt you? No.
But I think one of the things I'm sure Mike's felt this way too is like, especially when in the midst of doing really bad, I start going down the thought of all the money and travel and time and stuff like that. I'm like, if I'm going to be out,
why am I wasting all of this?
If I'm going to be out, I don't know, $1,000, whatever. I'd rather be out $1,000 and have done well than be out $1,000 and done really poorly.
That's fair.
And I'm like, if I'm going to do really poorly, then I'm just like, gosh, what else could I have done today? What else could I have used that money on? What else, like your mind starts going down all these other rabbit holes. That really, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late to have those thoughts. You're there.
So
Money's
just do
gone. So you just gotta do it.
And have fun.
So we went to the grocery store after we went out to eat. After walking the stage, I got there about 30 minutes right before they closed. So I got to walk a couple of the stages, but all the local guys, all my friends were there. So we went out to eat, got a hotel, and we went to the grocery store because we're like, it's going to rain tomorrow. It's going to be miserable. I think we spent more time messing with the umbrellas and pressing the little button to engage and shoot at each other than anything in the grocery store. But we bought them on the pretense that it was going to rain. We're like, we're going to use this. And I think all of us were at the point that we've shot enough. We want to shoot majors, but we're like, if it's like anything like the first major, we're all leaving. We're like, money aside, we'll go have some drinks and have something to eat together and watch everybody else get soaked. Thankfully, it didn't rain this time, but that's a memory that I took away from the event. Shoot better and always have an umbrella that you can shoot at somebody if you need to.
It's more fun.
Tib, how about you? What's going on?
We did a little carnival this weekend, little festival. It's called Blessing of the Fleet. It started off as, the local priest or bishop, whatever, would bless all the fishermen and the fishing boats. And it's morphed into like a 10-mile race. And, they have the 50-year-old roller coaster and a 70-year-old slide and all the old rides for the kids to go on. But my son was playing a game and he noticed me kind of watching one guy, and he said, why do you keep on staring at him? So I took it as an opportunity to, as we said last week, build upon his skills and do a little situational awareness training with him. So I just kind of pulled him aside and I asked him, what do you see? Look around, be observant. And his first thing was, most people are just walking around on their phones, not paying attention. And then that guy walked by again. He's like, yeah, I see why you were staring at him. He's actually, what he said was, he's a creeper, was his exact quote of it. But he could tell that there's something not right. Why is he worried about everyone else? And, there's just, the guy gave off a weird vibe. Yeah. And then another guy came by and he said something to the effect of, if there was ever trouble, he would be very helpful. So for him too, and he was a big guy, fit, he looked like he was an off-duty cop or something. And it was interesting just to sit back and let him watch people and see what his thought process was. So it was cool. After that, I dropped him off and my wife and I went to a local concert at that festival called Those Guys, which was wonderful. And that was about the weekend.
Nice.
Very good.
Always take the opportunity, especially in those big public places. It's easy to find that kind of thing. Someone that doesn't look right, or it's awesome that he recognized somebody that he thinks would be helpful. Yeah.
Interesting to see how his mind perceived things without me trying to influence his thoughts,
Yeah, for sure. Just he went as far as not only identifying something that he didn't think looked right, and he went further and saying, not only does that not look like right, but if something happens, that's the guy I'm going to ask for help from. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I haven't done this in a long time, but when my kids were little, I used to kind of play a game with them before we go into a store or something like that. I would say, I want you to count all the people that you see wearing a green shirt, or just pick some color shirt. The only goal is just to get them to pay attention to their surroundings.
Yeah, it's just an observation
just
exercise.
Look at people. Yep. And yeah, I haven't done that in a long time, but it was always fun. And to them, it was a fun game, not knowing that I'm training them just to look around and look at people and eventually, I think your own internal clock, vibe,
radar,
Peter Tingle will go off if you see somebody that's like, yeah, that doesn't seem right. That's the best thing, Peter Tingle.
That's a good one.
I love it.
That's definitely a good one.
Yeah. So it's a little fun game for you guys.
The Peter Tingle game. I don't think you should call it that.
That's gonna be different.
That's terrible name.
It's a different game. Don't play the Peter Tingle game with your kids.
I'm gonna quickly change the subject to. So yeah, I was on vacation last week. We went. Our family has a cottage on a campground. It's like a church campground. It's Western Pennsylvania, church campground, and so every year they have a week-long family camp where there's thousands of people there, and it's kind of fun because there's there's a stand with that has food, and there's a little bookstore and ice cream stand, and there's always stuff going on during the day. There's like a lake at the bottom of the campground that has like a zip line and like a little blob. It's just like there's a lot of stuff going on. There's also some fun things just around that area. There's some waterfalls to go see, and there's hiking. And one of my favorite things, I take my mountain bike. I mountain biked like Monday, Wednesday, Friday on some trails that I really only get to go to like once, maybe twice a year. And my mom grew up going there. I grew up going there. My kids are now growing up going there. So it's kind of, we're like third generation going to this campground. So, we always look forward to going. As I get older, I have less enjoyed the busyness. I used to kind of like the energy and the hustle and bustle of it. Now I long more for silence.
Yeah.
And all that. But it's still a great time. And so my family likes to sleep on vacation. And I've said before, I am not a vacationer. I am a traveler. And which means I don't necessarily want to go on vacation and just like sit around. So the nice thing is my whole family wanted to sleep. So I still got up early in the morning. 3 days I went mountain biking. One day, my son and I, he's also kind of an early riser. My son and I found a 3D archery course like 20 minutes away. So we went and shot archery one morning. I can't remember what I did the other morning, but I basically had a half a day to myself because by the time I got back, everybody's rolling out of bed at, I don't know, 10, 11, something like that. Half the day's gone. But yeah, it was a great time.
That's why you hit the beach.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of sitting around.
Yeah, I couldn't get to the beach.
See, and maybe it's one reason why I don't like going to a beach, because I don't just want to sit around. If I do go to a beach, I want to go with other people that want to play frisbee, play football, can jam.
I mean, I want to do all those things interspersed with long periods of sitting, and reading, or just sitting in the waves and floating.
I totally understand how people like to do that.
Oh yeah,
I get it. I just don't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, no,
I'm simply saying that's why you don't like to go to the beach.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's wrong that people just want to sit around. I think it's incredibly boring. I could just stay home and sit around and do nothing. Traveling hours and hours and spending all this money to sit, to me.
We made it.
We're here and let's do nothing.
I couldn't do that.
Just not my vibe, but
or the sand in my shorts.
Not saying I wish that I could do that,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. I wish that I could just go and sit on a beach with a book and do nothing.
There's a reason I don't vacation with my in-laws.
Yeah.
Because they can't sit either.
Mm.
They have to have the whole thing planned out. I'm out.
Yeah.
I would like to do things on vacation. I actually like to I have a subset of my vacation that I want to go and do things, because we are traveling. You're in a new place. Let's go do. I agree with you. But I also want to relax because I'm away from home, responsibilities, work, all of that stuff. So there's a part of it that's like, let's just stop and be. Now, I'm actually still, ironically, an early riser. I get up, even when we're at the beach or anywhere, I'll get up and usually walk by myself, have peace and quiet and all that other stuff. But I want to not be on the regular schedule. But my in-laws want to plan every minute of the whole thing and have an itinerary. Like, we're going to do this for breakfast, then we're going to go do this and this. I'm like, nope. You do not have any free time planned in there. I'm out. I'm going to extricate myself and not go on vacation.
Vacation with is so important, man. You
100%.
got to be able to vibe with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Or get gelato.
With you, there must be gelato.
Easy. You just got to get a place close to ice cream and a place with AC.
Yeah.
Both of those things are key.
Ice cream.
So when I was listening to the podcast, I really liked what Tib brought up towards the beginning of last week's podcast. Tib, what did you, instead of me putting words in your mouth, what did you bring up at the beginning of last week's podcast?
I just wanted to shut that door so my son didn't hear what I had to say. So I'm trying to, or I am building a formal process on how I can help my son go from a boy to a young man to a man, and what life skills does he need, and what type of character stuff, and what's most important, and what did I struggle with. And the list of stuff is huge, And I've started reading a few books, and Greg suggested a few additional ones that I just ordered this morning, and some podcasts. And there's so much to it, but I'm thinking of a formal process on how I can help him become a man.
Is this going to come with like a vest and patches or pins or anything that when he completes a
know
step?
that like retractable sash, the CCW sash and badge, it's going to be the same type of thing. It's retractable. I'm a man badge.
It'd be cooler if you got a tattoo for each stage that he completed.
It'll be like
Your
Boy
wife
Scouts
would be
instead of
ecstatic about
little patches. Yeah.
your son getting tattoos at this age.
Each
Dad
one
has one.
It'd be cool. Actually, the more I think about this, the more awesome it sounds. If it was like if the greater design would created something, I don't know what it is, created something, but each little like patch was a piece of it.
The Giblin family crest.
Yes, yeah, something like that, and you had to. I like this idea. But when you guys were talking about this, I wanted to jump in so bad. I think I was talking to my car dashboard as you guys were talking. And I was actually kind of glad you guys kind of talked about it, briefly and then moved on. So I thought that'd be really cool just to kind of dive into this topic more.
Yeah.
And I came back. I would think we're about ready to lose our camera, by the way. As I thought about this topic more, I came back and me and Nate talked about it in the morning. I talked to Tib about it in the morning. Me and Mike kind of talked about things each kind of separately. I think there's a smaller topic here of like me and my son, and I have daughters too. Like this is not just how am I raising my son, but also how am I raising my daughters. Nate has a daughter and a son.
Yep.
And Tib has a daughter and a son. Michael doesn't have any kids yet, but I think that, but I also think this is a really important part of this conversation is how are we, the greater we, how are we investing in the next generation? So if you don't have kids, or heck, even if you do have kids, how are you investing in other kids?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had, trying to think if I want to tell the story. There, yes, I think the same at the same time, Tib, of you bringing this up, I think it's already been on my mind of how I'm bringing up my son already, and there are a couple of things that kind of happened over the vacation that were just like, man, these are things that I want to help my son through, right? And so I'm also kind of watching Mike here, being very distracted. So yeah. So just what are we doing to bring up the next generation? And so, me and Nate were talking about it in the morning. I think there are different skills that I want to teach my son. That's probably different than your son, and that's different to Tib's son. And for those of you who are watching your son, or even your friends' sons or whatever, what? So I was going to ask you guys, like, what kind of skill sets do you think are important? And obviously, this could be a huge list. We don't have to go through all the things, but what are things that you think are maybe top of mind for your sons? Because all of our kids are different ages too. So
at my son's age, it's not even so much skill set as it is more attitude and mindset. He is, I'm not going to say too young to learn skills. That's not accurate. Even at 6, you can learn things. Sure. But most of the time, he's not doing things independently at this point, at least not at the skill set level, right? He's not camping on his own. He's not driving. He's not doing those things. Not to say that he can't participate in those, but I'm not worried about him doing those things on his own and needing to know how to do those things on his own. For me, at his age, I'm more concerned about teaching him confidence, a sense of integrity, a sense of responsibility, a sense of looking out for his sister, his mom, family, instilling some of those values in him at this age. And he can't necessarily protect them. He's 6. You can't put a protector perspective on a 6-year-old. He can't protect them from most things at that age. He's a skinny little kid, but you can at least give him those thoughts, give him that mindset. That's what I'm working on with him now, with the goal of in a couple of years when he gets a little bit bigger and he's ready to start learning skills, that we can start working on skills. So he's living life with me. I mean, we talked, I think it was last week, we talked about the fact that he came when I was helping work with the animals and shearing sheep, and he was participating at least in the watching part of that. So he can see all of that, see that we're doing those things, and there's some responsibility for all of that. But he doesn't have to do that yet. It's more of, let's learn responsibility, learn the mindset and why we're doing it, not necessarily the skill of doing the thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah, totally. So I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit into what we're going to do for Liberty segment, but there are physical skill sets that we need, and there are character traits that we need. And those are two very different things. And so for Liberty segment in a few minutes here, we're gonna I definitely want to dive more into the character side of things.
Sorry, I may have skipped us.
No, you're good, because again, for you and for a 6-year-old, I mean, of course, there's some skill things that's fun.
Riding a bike right now,
right? Yeah, that's a perfect thing. Like it's important for a 6-year-old.
Age appropriate skills,
right? You need to know how to throw a ball and ride a bike and those things.
So if we're talking about those things right now, those are the big things. Yeah. Is ride a bike, throw a ball, catch a ball, which is very hard, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how difficult that actually is. I forgot, because I've been doing it for as long as that is, how hard it is to throw a ball well and catch a ball well, that when you do it and it hits them in the forehead, you're like, bro, just move the glove.
Yeah, why don't you move the glove?
Why didn't you move the glove? And he's like, you hit me in the face. I'm like, but it was moving so slow. All you had to do is move your glove and catch the ball. Well, it hit him in the forehead. But yeah, so from that perspective, if we're talking true skills right now, those are the things that I'm teaching him in the moment. I do have a list of skills that I'd love for him to learn later, but in the moment, ride a bike, throw and catch a ball, learn how to follow directions on, honestly, Lego sets and any of those kind of things, be able to open a book and follow directions, and on board games, those kind of things, just basic stuff. Those are the things that I'm trying to teach him skill sets right now. I do have stuff for the future, but for a 6-year-old.
At the same time, those tiny little hands can really, and a wrench could really reach into a lot of places.
That's true.
That mower, you could probably fix that mower.
Oh yeah, you could just crawl right underneath that mower.
That's true. It's true.
Tab, what's your thoughts on it, just on skill set stuff?
I think it depends on what the parents value as most important and age. For me, it's a lot of social skills right now. You know, how to shake a man's hand, how to never sit down and shake a man's hand, how to hold a conversation, how to lead a conversation, money, how to manage money and not save money, and being hardworking. Like we went to the gym the other day. He was really tired, and he sucked it up and got a good workout in. And I stressed to him when we got back in the car that was the most impressive workout you've had in these past couple months. Not that you lifted the most weights, you didn't, but you were tired. You didn't want to be here. You sucked it up. You pushed through it, and that was awesome. So teaching those and reinforcing those good behaviors. But there's so many things between money and survival skills and just being resourceful. Like if something breaks and we need to fix it, okay, let's watch a YouTube video. Let's figure out what tool we need, and let's get this done. Like we took down a shower curtain the other day and replaced it, and I made him lead most of the way through it, and I just kind of helped him a little bit. And it was great because the bolts were rusted from being in the shower, and he figured it out.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I just got a decked system for my truck, and so I texted my son.
Wait, you have a truck?
I did. I also got a new truck this weekend.
What?
Yeah, there's also that. But I have this deck system. It's sitting in the back of my truck all in pieces. I texted him a picture. I was like, hey, you get to help me put this together when I get home, which honestly he loves. He loves putting things together. He was like 5 putting together more advanced Lego sets. I hope that he ends up as like an engineer or something when he's older, because he's brilliant with figuring out spatial things. But that said, I texted him and was like, hey, you're gonna help me put this together. He was like, awesome. So I'm looking forward to going home and doing that with him.
Make him crawl into the bed of the bed of you don't have to.
Exactly.
Right. Those spots at those small hands. And
Yeah,
get in there.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like, you plan this out.
Exactly.
Well done.
100%. One of the quotes that I thought of, this is during some of the things that kind of happened on vacation, and also that I thought of as you guys were talking. One of my favorite quotes is, comfort is the enemy of progress. And I think this is something that we all that we all need to think about. And for some people, it's going to be even more than others. At this stage in my life, I kind of thrive off of trying new things and doing, just doing new things and learning new things and trying hard things. But when I was a kid, I definitely didn't. And I think a lot of what we're going to talk about today kind of comes down to how uncomfortable are we willing to get to better ourselves, to better our sons and our daughters, and probably even more so other people's, like just the other youth of the world. You know, it's hard. I'll be honest, it's kind of hard to care about other people's kids when I have my own take care of, right? But if we really truly care about the future, then we need to get uncomfortable and invest ourselves into not only our kids, but into other ways and to better the world. So I'm going to use that as a segue to go into our Liberty segment.
Give me liberty! Oh, give me death! Well said.
Well said. I need a powdered wig for that set, just to throw it on.
I think we should make that happen.
I'll wear it.
So in our Liberty segment, we like to kind of focus on navigating our liberties in today's world to serve. And so this ties in directly into what we're talking about today. So, I already kind of segued into this and into the character, right? So the more I thought about this, the more, we can have all these skill sets. I could be the most skilled person in the world at all these amazing different things, right? But if I only ever use them for myself, then just I'm not doing any favors.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I think what drives us to use the skill sets we have to use outside of our own selfishness is our character. And so, with what Nate and Tib was saying, is just, we're trying to teach our sons to kind of think outside of themselves and to think, how am I interacting with other people? How am I, it starts with, it starts with your siblings, right? Don't punch my sister in the face.
That's a regular.
Who would have
That's
thought?
on a daily basis.
Yeah, daily basis. Once again, do
Why
not punch
not?
your sister in the face, because eventually
She'll punch you back.
yeah, she will punch you back.
Actually, she does it already, and he cries. It's very sad.
Hey, what goes around comes around. A little bit of a sibling justice. is
100%.
is. Yeah. So, just I just kind of want to open this can of worms up to you guys. Of what's your thoughts on skill versus character and what we're teaching our kids and that sort of thing.
Well,
what's your thoughts?
So, I was talking to a guy I know not too long ago, and he has a lot of skills, physical skills. The guy knows how to work on cars. He can fabricate most anything out of steel, welding. He can pipe fit. He is capable of working on pretty much anything in his house. He's renovated his house multiple times, multiple houses through the years. He's a little bit older than I am, and has owned multiple houses throughout the years. So he's done those projects. He can do all of that. So he has those skill sets. He's into camping. primarily like backpacking, that kind of thing. Although he owns a camper like I do, he has a lot of skill sets. He grew up in a situation that would not have emphasized the development of a strong moral character. I'm not going to say he didn't have any good character traits. That's not fair, but a good moral background, a good moral character. And he's struggling as an adult now to back up his skill set with those good moral characters. He has the ability to work hard, and he does work hard. I don't want to take that away from him. But there's times where he struggles with the integrity things. He struggles with desiring respect, desiring people to look at him with ways that he hasn't built up in his life, because that wasn't the way he was raised, and he didn't, I don't want to say earn it, but he didn't earn it. That wasn't the way he lived his life. And he struggles with that now because he does value those things now as a grown man. And I look at that and I say, okay, there's the importance of that character over the skill set. The skill set is awesome, and he does use it for other people. He's not using it solely for himself, but because he's lacking some of those character traits that I look at and I'm trying to instill in my son, and I'm hoping that I use myself most of the time, or at least I try to exemplify those. I would hope that my son takes those away so that when he gets to that age, he's not sitting in the same situation. It's an interesting thing, because you can have all the skills in the world, but if the world doesn't look at you and see any of those character traits, they're not going to walk away with it, or they're not going to walk away with the respect that you desire and the perspective, I think, that you're wanting. Does that make sense? Does that thought make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things I think that is so important in instilling those character traits at an early age. That's why when I talked to my son, an example of it last night, he walked out of my house and left the door open to the backyard, which in and of itself is not a big deal. Of course, my immediate reaction is, "Oh, my air conditioning's running. It's hot as
right.
Is that
Trying to cool it
Dogs are gonna get out.
You're cooling outside. We don't live in a barn." Very old man,
Yep, I say that all the time.
type of reaction. But that in of itself wasn't a big deal. The overall lesson, I brought him back over. I was like, "Bud, you're smart. You're intelligent. I know you're very smart. You're observant. You're smart. I know that you opened the door." Because I said, "Bud, you left the door open." He goes, "Well, who closed it?" Because the door was closed. So he walked up and saw that the door was closed, and immediately then, "Well, who closed it? If I opened it, who closed it?" I'm like, "I did, bud." But you have to use your observation skills. You've got to be smart. Make those decisions that I want to go outside. Cool. Just close the door as you come back through. These aren't hard decisions. These are just the small things that they all add up. If you continue to not do these things, that's the kind of thing that will add up over time. The not closing the door, the not turning the light off. In the case of a home, that's a power bill that just went up. If it's something more serious, that is a failed marriage.
Right.
That's I might be exaggerating, but you understand what I'm saying. That's the slippery slope that you fall on because you chose not to do the small things in the long term. And that's what I was talking to him about. You use your brain when you're interacting with your sister. You love her, you protect her, you don't hit her, you don't yell at her for making a small mistake. You make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So I try to use it as a teaching lesson in the moment. Is just as simple as close the door when you go outside. Use your brain. You're smart. That's it.
Yeah. Tim, what do you think?
I think in general, skills are fairly easy to teach. Some skills harder than others, of course, but if you put time behind it, skills aren't hard. That's what we've always done up to this point, teaching life skills. Character can be a little bit more challenging. I think it's super important that we lead by example. If we're telling our kids to be honest and serve others and whatever other things are important to us, but we're not leading by example, that's going to be tough to set those values with them. And then also when we see them or their friends or somebody else living in a way that isn't good character, not serving others, not doing the right thing, I think it's up to us to, pull them aside and say something like, hey, don't leave that door open, or don't slap your sister or punch your sister, or whatever the example was earlier. It's up to us to calmly explain that. Like one thing I learned years ago is, as you guys know, I'm not a patient person. I have a temper and I work very, very, very hard to control it, but I struggle. And that's something my son. So when he was younger, he would get mad and yell, and I would yell back, and I'd say to myself, like, I'm not being a good role model and not being a good example. So I've worked very hard on that, but that would be in one example.
Yeah. Patriarch Pangolin said that my boys, 3-year-old and 5-year-old, want to emulate me, good or bad. My challenge is to be their best example, not their worst. Help them pick up habits that point in good directions. I think that's ultimately what a lot of this comes down to me is, we can make all these teaching moments and sit them down, and do these teaching moments, which are good things to do. But the majority of what I picked up from my dad was just weren't necessarily those little teaching moments. It was just general life. Do you guys have is there anything like that rings in your ears that your dad used to say to you a lot? Is there like a line or anything like that you remember? Your dad
Yes.
What's yours?
If you two things. If you're going to be dumb, you better be tough, and worry about yourself. Those are the two things my dad said all the time.
Those are good.
Well, it's interesting because my dad was frequently, and this is something that I've tried to emulate with my kids. I've talked about the importance of showing your kids love them, but also the importance of the love in your relationship. My dad always emulated that by talking about my mom as his wife, not about her as our mom. If we were rude to her or anything, it was never, hey, be nice to your mom, or hey, don't talk to your mom that way. It was always, do not speak that way to my wife. It was always not possessive, but this is more than just your mom. This is my wife. She is important to me in a way that is not just, you need to respect her because she's your mom.
Right.
You need to respect her because she's important to me as a person.
Yeah, what you say to her affects him.
Correct.
They are, when you hurt her, you hurt me.
Yeah. And that always resonated. There was never a question in our household of the efficacy of their marriage for those reasons. That there was never like, oh, we're worried about them. I was never concerned. There was never any, parents argue. We know that. I'm not any exception to it. There's no relationship, I think, that you can get away with not arguing at some point. But I never sat as a kid and thought, oh, my parents are not okay. Because my parents defended each other and they interacted in that way. And I want my kids to see the same thing and understand, oh, we are a team, meaning my wife and I are a team.
Yeah, it's us versus you guys.
Yeah. Well, to an extent it is.
Right.
And
100%.
How important that is. So I say the same things to my kids if they're speaking to their mom in a way that is disrespectful. The conversation is usually, that's my wife. You will not speak to her in that tone. Now, at this age, they don't know the difference. That doesn't matter. But I hope it sticks with them
It's
same way.
good to start getting that into him, because eventually they'll figure that out eventually.
Yeah. And it's not rude. It's not mean. It's just, this is my wife. You don't speak to my wife this way.
I've definitely had conversations like that before with, you need to treat her. Well, it just,
and it's just general,
even
right?
bigger. Yeah. And sometimes I think it's been even bigger than that. It's like, you need to teach, or you need to treat, she is your mother. She is my wife. She's also a child of God. She is, right. She is a human being.
It's the character of respect.
Yes.
It's a character of respect.
Yeah.
It was just the way that he always said it. It will always stick with me. I can remember even not even mouthing off to my mom, just speaking in a louder tone, being frustrated about something and speaking to her, and from across the house, you won't raise your voice to my wife. I'm like, Dad, I'm not yelling at Mom. I'm just talking. And my mom would just be like, yeah, I know you're not yelling at me. It's, and just just quiet down, but continue your frustration from across the house. But I can remember that. That's the thing that will always stick with me, was that he was very defensive of her in a loving way. It was, this is my wife. I love her. I want you to understand that I love her, and you will respect that.
Yeah. How about you, Michael? Anything?
Yeah, actually, I made a couple notes on the Liberty section today, and something that is very valid. Like immediately when we talked about what skills in relation to life, and I'm like, well, there's skill sets and there's character, and that, like, before I even got to the next segment, I was already writing about character. And to everybody's point, character isn't taught in books. It's taught in life. And in full hindsight, everything that you do in life is either a replication or a following of somebody that was a mentor, a guider, your father, your parents, or someone in that regard that you respected, right? And that goes right back to the character development part of it. But somebody that taught you some of those attributes in life to go forward. My dad always said, the old saying was, it's an old knee, you had it all your life. If it was any injury, that was his one saying that kind of stuck. It didn't relate anything to this, but to go back to Nate's point, the 5 Ds in dodgeball, or teach your son to flip, like dodge that throat punch.
Dive.
However, what I saw in my father growing up as a child was, my father worked full-time as a firefighter, but he served. When we weren't at the fire department, when he was off work, we were still doing work, whether it was to pay for me and my childhood, endeavors, or getting hurt, or racing 4-wheelers, whatever it may be. We were still serving the community with his skill set. My father had so many different talents and convictions in his life, but he never, even now, he's retired from the fire department and out cutting the grass for churches and doing something because he's like, well, I've got 2 lawnmowers. I can do it. We've been doing it. And he continues to serve the community. And that was one thing that I learned as a young man that carried over into life is, yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Holding the door for the elderly, and those little things started to equate to bigger things of, like what Tib asked about last, like, how do I teach my son situational awareness? How do I teach my son to be aware of things? I started learning where to walk amongst my grandfather, my father, right? I didn't walk in front of him. I walked behind them to the right. If they needed me, I was there. I learned the order of the family, where the wife stood amongst the husband, where I stood amongst my parents, and I was there. But I also knew my surroundings because I was there is there an elderly lady that needs help carrying her groceries? She's got a cane and the grocery bag. Can she open the door? Thankfully, nowadays they're all automatic and they slide open, but it's still those qualities and characters that were taught that also equated to skill sets of giving back. And that was kind of one of the things that in this segment, I was really hot about, really excited about. Because again, it wasn't taught in a book. I've picked up so many books. You've brought me so many books over the last 2 years now. And it's the character of who you are isn't taught in the book. And we've all picked up books and learned skill set. And we are all very talented in so many different avenues of life. But having that ability to then take that knowledge or that passion in your skill and give it to somebody else. Again, it's the character decides who benefits from it. The skill set is just what gets the job done.
Right. Yeah. So that's good. The line that I can still rings in my head from my dad, and I wish he was still here today. So my dad actually works here a few days a year.
Let's clarify. He's still here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Physically present in the building.
In the building right now. He's still.
I
A little confused.
scared me for a second.
What happened?
As I was saying, I can see how you guys heard it that way. That's not at all what I meant. He's still alive.
And he works here.
And he's not currently in the building right now. The line that I can hear ringing in my ears is, Greg, use your head.
Yeah.
Oh,
Weston will remember that one.
oh,
I say
use
that all the
your
time.
head. It still rings in my head. Use your head. And it was used for something as little as, I don't know, just doing something stupid that wasn't very big, all the way to there were big things that I did wrong. And it was, Greg, use your head. And just the it was it was a reminder to slow down and think. Just stop and think. How many things would we do differently in life if we would just stop and think?
Yep.
Nate was telling me
Leaving
about
the door open.
leaving the door open.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was saying. My dad would, if I did that, my dad would have said, "Greg, use your head," and and he made me go back and close the door.
Yep.
And so Nate was telling me about a video that he was watching this morning of the old lady that had road rage and pulled in front of somebody else, got out, opened the door, like scratched the lady that was driving inside. This is a long video, put very short. But what we talked about afterwards is, I guarantee that old lady never would have even thought about doing that, but it was a reaction to a situation, to a high stress situation. Maybe she was having a bad day.
I was gonna say a build up from a stressful day for her.
Her cat died. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Her Social Security check didn't come.
Yeah. So it just there's one of those 100% one of those moments. Edith, use your head. But if she would have just stopped, taken a deep breath,
yep,
and thought about the situation and what she was about ready to do, she probably wouldn't have done it. And so, yeah, for me, it was that was the thing that my dad pounded in my head is, Greg, use your head. And so,
great one,
Mike. I'm gonna push back a little bit on what you said about that there's no book that teaches us this.
Fair point.
I could think of one.
Fair point. Fair point.
Very big seller. The Bible.
Say what?
We're actually we're going to get to the faith and fuel. I'm actually in a couple segments, but I did want to tag this in to the Liberty segment of, when we think about all the things that we want our sons, specifically, but also my daughter, also myself, also what I expect out, what I hope for, even the people sitting around me right now, is that these are character traits that I think we all want and appreciate: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Those are all fruits of the Spirit out of Galatians 5. And then Micah 6:8 is one of my favorite verses. It says, "Do justice, love kindness, be humble." Like if I were to put together a list of traits, character traits that I want so badly for my son to exude, and for myself and for those that I surround myself with, gosh, like aren't those all things that we want?
For sure.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I did want to tag those in there of just like, these are the things that I know I'm trying to model for my son, and I also expect him to do these things, right? I mean, some of these things I can't make him have peace. That probably won't work well, but I can, if I see him not being good, I can, there are some of these things that I can, that I can address, but
beat in with an iron rod.
Use your head.
Yeah, use your head.
Use your head.
Yeah, actually, what's funny, I don't know that I've actually used that line, and maybe it's because I don't want to do the same thing. I don't know. It's been good for me.
It's a great line.
It's a great line.
It's a great line.
I think you need to. I think you need to
start using it.
It's never too late.
On your dad. I'm gonna use that on your dad.
Please do that.
You use that with your son.
Yeah, use your head.
Flip, use your head.
All right, let's go into our equipped segment.
Equipped.
Gun and a radio. Not exactly Christmas, is it?
You expecting an exploding pen?
Yes.
Please.
We don't really go in for that anymore.
What?
Good luck out there in the field. And please return the equipment in one piece.
Brave New World.
Brave New World.
Every time I hear that, I just want to go watch a movie.
I'm down. Can
So
we
good.
eat pizza, please?
Yeah.
Oh,
Pizza in a movie?
stop.
Sorry.
Equipped. So this is the segment where we like to kind of talk about more the practical side of things. What are practical tools, practical skills that can empower us, and in this case, our our sons or other people that were around. What are things that we can do? What are resources that we can use? Let's talk about let's put the rubber to the road here. What do you guys think? And Tib, I'm really curious. You said that you're working on, excuse me. You said that you're working on some kind of program. It wasn't program, wasn't the word to use, but yeah. What's your thoughts on kind of what you want to do here? Do you have anything you could share yet?
Yeah, I'm still in the beginning phases of putting it all together, but I want to lean on the other gentlemen in my life of good moral character and good skill set to help me come up with this. And I want once a month to my son to spend time with these gentlemen, learning some sort of skill set or learning some sort of character building exercise or whatever the person's strength is, to spend some time with that person and learn about that. And I have probably a dozen different people lined up so far, including you guys, but you guys don't know about that yet, but including him to spend some time with you and to learn whatever you guys want to teach him about being a godly man, being a man of good character, So I have a long way to go before I have a formal process put together. There's two more books I still want to read.
You sure about that decision?
Oh, I say you two. I meant Greg and Mike.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Trouble.
No, all three of you.
Hey, actually, before we dive too much in here, Nate, you want to throw up our insider discount code?
Oh, and who's that for?
It is for insiders who have signed up
And why?
because they're awesome.
How much does it give them?
20% for the next roughly 36 hours.
20% off for the next 36-ish hours. If you are a Neomag insider, use the code GearBoost for 20% off for the next 36-ish hours.
GearBoost.
That's right.
You got to log into your insider's account to use that code. Hopefully, if you're a podcast listener, you were listening to this within 36 hours of us posting this up.
By the way, our friend Roberto Orozco Design Studio.
Oh, yeah.
Says use your head patches or stickers would be cool. Slap them on helmets. I think he's right. You're right, Orozco Design Studio. You should.
Roberto did email me last week, wanting to catch up on doing some design stuff. I see I like it. All right.
Yeah.
We'll have to make a podcast sticker sheet or something like that. Yeah. So, let's talk about what books have you read or is on your list, Tib?
So this one I'm a little more than halfway through. It's The Intentional Father. Somebody I'm friends with suggested that. That has been fantastic.
I just got that.
I was listening. Yeah, it's very, very good. I started off a little, wasn't sure about it, but the more I get into it, the more it's great. This all started from listening to a podcast about a father who did something similar and suggested that book. And then the other one that you suggested, Greg suggested yesterday, was Raising Men, Not Boys. And then I have another one. I'm just drawing a blank on the name. And once I get all of that, I'll build a framework and get everyone's opinion on how to go about this. And there will be some sort of formal, I want to call it initiation process, kickoff, beginning, something. I'm still working on the details.
Does
But
it
it'll be
involve
a party and it'll be fun.
in a sweat lodge?
Maybe.
Is hazing involved?
A little waterboarding never hurt no one.
All right. Blindfolds, we got him.
Yeah, I ordered that book right after you and me talked to Monday, Tib, and it arrived yesterday. We'll put Amazon links to these books, so you guys can find these. I have read halfway through the Raising Men Not Boys, and I read half the first chapter of the other one that Tib is talking about. And then Tib, if you want to, you don't have to do it right now, but if you want to drop us a link to that podcast episode that you listened to, then you could do that as well.
Yeah, who was it? Let me remember who it is, and then I can do that.
Yeah. So I was going to talk about some of the things that I have done. So I can't remember if it was last summer. Time flies. It might have been the summer before. I did a camping trip, and we weren't exactly.
That was last summer.
Was it last summer?
Yep.
We weren't exactly. We weren't necessarily. It wasn't the most roughing it. We were staying at a cabin. Now there's no plumbing and electric. So for a lot of people, they would say that is roughing it. To me, we were still in a cabin, so it's not exactly glamping, not exactly roughing it. Somewhere in between. Anyway, I took my son, 3 of his friends, and their fathers all came, and we went camping. And I kind of had this, and honestly, I feel like I got the idea from this, probably from a sermon I listened to or something like that. I'm not going to give enough credit to myself that I just came up with this idea out of the blue, but
Definitely did not.
but I used a compass and what's the first thing I did the day before? I went out to the property that we're gonna be camping at and tied off some ribbons to some different points. And I came up with coordinates. I had degrees, and then I think I paced off a distance, right? And so I had this course. I did like 2 courses. I did like a pretty simple one, and then I did a big one. At the end of the big one, I actually put our dinner in a cooler at the end of the big one.
Okay.
And so once we all got there, I taught the kids how to use a compass, how to figure out, if I tell you 200 feet, how many paces is that for your stride? So we kind of did like a stride measure and stuff like that. And so we go out there, we put the boys together, and eventually, so we get to the big course after they'd done the small one. Went to the big course, and I said, "Listen, guys, if you want to eat dinner tonight, you got to find it. It's at the end of this course you have to go through." I gave them all the coordinates and the distances and said, "Have at it." And they could not have played into everything that I wanted to talk about later that night around the fire. They could not have played into it better. Like at one point, one of the boys kind of got frustrated with the whole compass and paces thing, and he just thought that he knew which direction to go. And so he kind of gets the other kids just to follow him, and they go off way off course. And they go off course, and they're looking for it. And I let them search around for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so before I was like, "Guys, that's not right. You guys need to go back to where you were at and pick up." So that led into one of the lessons that I talked about later, which was, basically who you surrounding yourself with. Yep. Where are they going to take you? Are they going to take you off course in life, or are they going to help you stay on course in life? So, so that was perfect. And I remember there were a few things that they did in that time, which they did eventually go find the cooler, which was also nice. I made them carry the cooler up this big hill to back to the campsite. And yeah, I think we did that kind of in the morning on the first full day. And we drove golf carts, and we pedaled bikes or paddled boats, around the pond. We just kind of did guy stuff throughout the day or whatever. And then that evening we sat around the fire, and I shared some scripture, and I kind of pulled some stories out of what they did, and just asked them a lot of questions about, why did you guys do this? What was the, or what did you think about that? And that sort of thing from that. And I bought them all a compass, and they were all super excited to have their own compass afterwards. And so it was just, it was a really fun weekend, and threw in a little bit of a lesson in there. Also got to teach them a skill set. Frankly, I had to refresh myself on a skill set. Nate helped me with that. Yep. And so that's just an example of something. Now, that's definitely, there's a lot more thought that goes into something like that. There's planning. Heck, even just going camping, there's a lot of planning you do.
Regardless of whether it's glamping or not.
Right. You have to bring everything. So that's just one example of something I've done. I plan on doing it again this year. Just what's some things that you guys have done, or maybe have gone to and experienced things like that? What's your guys' thoughts?
So my dad and I would, as a kid, we did this 2 or 3 times. We didn't do it until I was a little older. We would go to the Allegheny National Reservoir in Pennsylvania, and we'd canoe camp, which was super cool. So it would be backpacking, but instead of backpacking, you're in a canoe.
I've wanted to do that.
Yeah, it was super cool. They have, on the Allegheny National Reservoir, they have canoe in campgrounds. So you load up your canoe with all of your supplies and you paddle it to the campground. You pull up. It's an honor system where you go and pay, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 bucks or whatever to reserve a campsite for the night. It's not like there's a camp ranger there. They just have a little honor box and you go drop it in, mark down what site you're at. You set up your tent and you eat and you hang out. So we did that a couple different times. The cool part, you run into bears. It's the woods of Pennsylvania. So you end up running into bears and that kind of thing. But we paddled all over the Allegheny National Reservoir multiple times. The teaching moments out of that is that you literally had to prep everything. Anything you wanted, food, clothes, water, you had to bring with you. There's some water points on the Allegheny National Reservoir. If you wanted to purify the water, that's what I was looking for, purify water, you could do that, but you had to bring stuff with you to do it. Once you left your vehicle, in theory, you could paddle back to it if you wanted to, but we would paddle miles and miles and miles away from the launch point. So we were not easily getting back to our truck. The one year even, we were heading on the way out and we were looking up at the sky and we could see a storm coming. And this storm dumped so much rain. We were probably, I don't know how far, but we'll say an hour's paddle from where we were when the rain started to where we'd get to the truck. And at one point I stopped paddling and just was bailing our canoe because it was filling our canoe up with water. We weren't that far from the shore, but I just told my dad, I'm like, at some point we may just have to go into shore and wait because we're not going to make it back to the truck. We're just going to sink this canoe with us and all of our gear to the bottom of the Allegheny National Reservoir because we're not going to make it back. We got back. We were wetter than I think had we gotten into the lake. But it was resiliency. There was a lot of resiliency and paddling all over everywhere that it was a different kind of tire than backpacking. It was a different kind of camping, but similar experience to backpacking where you had to just bring everything with you. Yeah. We did that a couple times. I've gotten to bring Weston. I have a friend that has 100-ish acres in central eastern Ohio that he allows us to camp on and everything. I brought him there a couple times and we've done a bunch of projects like chainsaw and all sorts of stuff. Again, he's a little kid, so he can't necessarily participate in that, but we go and clear a bunch of stuff and then we just go play in the creeks and that kind of thing. We call it just a guys weekend and it's a lot of fun. And it's a mix of work and fun, which goes into some of those skill set and experiential things where it's not just about fun. It's not just about work. It's a combination of the two. We're going to go and we're going to work and we're going to camp and we're going to enjoy both of them. And it's going to be a blast. Those are a couple things that we've done I've enjoyed them. And in the case of the stuff I've done with Weston, he continues to ask to go back, which is really cool.
Yeah. How about you guys?
I want to go camping.
Glamping.
I'm over here just like, wow, this sounds wonderful right now. So work trip soon. We're gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, honestly, the one thing that kind of you actually touched on it on the segue leading into this segment for me, I grew up doing martial arts and I grew up shooting guns, right? And then it led into a career and a passion into what I'm doing now is I'm able to teach others and give back. And I'm by no means the master of all trades, but I have a skill set in so many different areas. And one thing that I found was my passion in shooting. And I found that I could correlate it back to teaching or my years in self-defense. And martial arts was because I didn't want to go to daycare when my dad was working or go clean a church every night. So I had my escape, but it became one of those that I blossomed in and I was able to give back. That's how my dad met my now stepmom. She's been my mom for 15 years. That's how I met my stepbrothers, grew up teaching them martial arts, and we were able to give back to others. But it taught you so many invaluable skill sets that are also character traits. And that was discipline. And that was being able to be dedicated to something, even when it sucked, even when you got knocked down and failed. And I mean, again, the old saying that my dad said, it's an old knee, you had it all your life, but it's like that. Oh, you failed. It's okay. You're going to do that the rest of your life, but are you going to stand back up? Or are you going to let that injury or that knee stop you? That's how I could equate that analogy. So for me now, not having kids, I'd love to one day have kids when God puts that in my life. But to teach others, it's not about the ego for me. It's not about the pride. I can shoot. You don't need to stand there and see me do a bill drill in a sub-second. That probably be expert status. I'm not there yet, but you don't need to see me do that. Now, a demonstration is great, but to be able to teach a student and be patient with them and to be kind and humble, to show them that you can do this too with the appropriate time, dedication, and or will to do this. That's where I think both the character and the skill sets in my life in this time is where I can attribute that to others.
Yeah. Very good. Maybe Tim, what are some rubber to the road things for you?
So perfect timing that you asked this. So as I said, the past couple of weeks, my son and I were talking about building fires. And at first, he would just kind of watch me, and then he would do it with me, and then I would let him lead and give him tips. And then on Monday night, my daughter had 8 of her friends over. So 8 16-year-old girls. It was just, it was awesome. Awesome. Anyway, my boy came in and said, "Hey, the girls want a fire. They want to have some s'mores." And I said, "Go for it, dude." And he looked at me like, "I can do it on my own?" I was like, "Yeah, knock yourself out. You know how to do it. Let's see it. Build that fire." And he went out and he's right in front of all these girls. I'm thinking to myself, he's either going to look like a hero or he's going to embarrass himself in front of all these girls. And I'm like, please, I hope he does this well. And I waited a couple minutes and I looked outside and he had this fire going, and it was like massive fire. And he got the reward of using those skills I taught him to look cool in front of a couple 16-year-old girls. And
let's be honest, that's why that's going to be the biggest motivtor for our life.
That's what I did basically everything in
for a
high
lot of us
school.
Guys is what can I do? The ladies.
Yep.
Huh?
And he also got a delicious s'more out of the deal too. He got to cook himself a little s'more, and it was cool to see the see, watch, try, do on your own thing. It's a great way to learn and teach people, and to see him do that on his own. And he did great. He stacked the wood the way I showed him. He does not use gasoline or a lighter, and he did good.
That's good.
Key question: is it a teepee or a log cabin?
Or a yurt?
No, for the building of a fire.
Oh, I was log cabin.
Neither. So what we've been doing, we used to always do the teepee.
Controversial.
Send your son here. We're going to teach him how to start a
wrong.
fire.
You
I
wrote a
know,
hole and
I
you don't know how to
know.
build a fire
right now.
We used to do the teepee a while ago. Now we do like a square, and we build them up.
Yeah.
Two this way, two this way, two this way.
that's
Build
log
them up.
cabin.
That's log cabin.
That's
All right.
log cabin.
That's log cabin. Okay. Yeah, log cabin. That's the best way of doing it.
That's
Okay.
That's the only way to do it.
Good.
I
Fine.
didn't know it had a name.
Whew.
I started panicking there. Like, what are you teaching him?
I almost got fired there, huh?
No wonder you want what other men involved
Yeah,
in your
no kidding.
son's thing. You can't even teach him how
Fix
to
him real quick.
make a fire. Goodness gracious.
So,
Sorry.
some of the other things I had written here, it's for all of us, is what are ways for us to serve? Working with it, I guarantee there are, in your local town, there is a teen center that could use help. There are, for me, our church, there are ways for me to serve, alongside other youth and be a role model, good, so whatever it is. But look for some way to get involved somewhere, somehow. If it's your church, how can you get involved there? If you don't go to a church, how can you get involved in teaching kids somehow? Get involved with Boy Scouts. Get involved with just whatever it is. Find some way to give back to the next generation. If it's just investing in your kids' friends,
Yep.
Like we did with our camp trip, do that. Make a point to do it. It doesn't have to be. Just a once a year thing can go a long way, but just
For sure.
start somewhere.
Make yourself open to it too. Like make sure they know you're open to it
Yeah.
as a friend. Like as one of their parents' friends. Make sure that they, as your friends' kids, know that you're open and available to help them out.
Yeah, that's a pretty rare thing. I can think of a few adults as a kid who I knew that if I needed to go to, I could, and that's it's a pretty neat thing to experience. The other thing I wrote down is just communicate, just share your stories. I think it's hard for us, as you know, whether you're a father, whether you're just an adult around other kids or whatever. It can be hard to admit failure and shortcomings, that sort of thing, but it's so important to communicate those things, and here's where I failed and here's what I did to overcome it. Because when you have those conversations with kids of here's little Timmy, here's where you failed and here's what you did better. If you can relate to it and say, I've been there before, I failed doing this, here's what I did that was better, and I know this is going to help you. That's going to just go a lot further than just straight up point your finger at somebody and tell them to do things the right way. And then kind of last thing I read here is look for resources. There's a couple books that we thought that we are reading. There's a couple podcasts that we can point you towards, but we would love to hear from you guys. What are books? What are experiences that you've been to that you can recommend? What are podcasts? We love. I love podcasts. So just what are resources that are going to be good for you? We'll share the ones that we have. We would love to hear from you guys on the ones that you are reading, listening to. All right, let's hit up our last segment here.
You say you've been walking for 30 years, right?
Right.
Have you ever thought that maybe you were lost?
No.
Well, how do you know that you're walking in the right direction?
I walk by faith, not by sight.
What does that mean?
It means that you know something even if you don't know something.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't have to make sense. It's faith. It's faith. It's the flower of light in the field of darkness. It's giving me the strength to carry on. You understand?
She doesn't understand.
She does not get it. If you didn't notice, so one thing I noticed when I was listening back to the podcast, you could barely hear a lot of these clips. So I actually I uploaded them all again and I boosted the audio and put them back in. So hopefully people can hear them better now. I do think if you're watching on any of our live streams, it's I think some of these live streams will kind of compress the audio, because on the podcast it sounds way better. It sounds perfect.
100% they do.
Sounds perfect on the podcast. On the lives, it sounds like garbage. So
very low.
Yeah. So anyway, Faith to Fuel. These are, so I jotted down 3 scriptures, which actually all these came from the 3 guys that I'm sitting here with. Should recognize these from like the last week. I got all these guys a daily kind of scripture flippy book thing. All of these are from the last 7 days. There are 3 that I wrote down here that just came from that. The first one is from Proverbs 11:14. It says, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. And we only add a lot to any of these because the last hour, actually more than an hour that we've been talking, really is I think just kind of proves each of these these verses as being true. So I just jotted down, surround yourself with people who make you better. Second verse is Psalm 145:4. It says, parents will tell their children what you have done. This is saying, talking about God. Their parents will tell their children what God has done. They will retell your mighty acts. And for those of you who are believers, this is the number one important thing to do, is just to share with your children what God has done in your life specifically. How have you been affected by your faith, and how has God helped you through things you've gone through? Those are literally the most important things that you can do. The third one I found here is Titus 2:7. It says, let everything you do reflect the integrity and seriousness of your teaching. I love this one. Let everything you do reflect the integrity and seriousness of your teaching. So it starts with us being purposeful and modeling. And I wrote down actions speak louder than words. It's kind of another way to put this. What's your guys' thoughts on those?
I really like the first one. Surround yourself with people who make, well, the point is surround yourself with people who make you better. Where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety, which kind of goes back to the point we made earlier. And one of the things that Tib is working on, which is giving his son an opportunity to learn from other people in his life. Giving your kids an opportunity to be surrounded by other God-fearing, God-loving people that also have an opportunity to teach your kids is, I think, key. One of my greater influences in my teenage years was one of my best friend's fathers. And I went to him for a lot of stuff that I didn't feel like I could talk to my parents about. And if I hadn't had him, I wouldn't have talked to anybody about it, or I would have talked and asked to my friends about, who were stupid teenagers like I was. They wouldn't have given sound, mature advice like he did. And the reason he was around was because my parents allowed him to be a part of my life. They helped facilitate our relationship throughout our life. And part of it was also that his son was one of my best friends. But the reason his son was one of my best friends was because my parents facilitated that relationship. That was all a part of our community. And I'm not going to say that he was the key to the fact that I'm a Christian today, but he certainly was a huge factor in it. He was a factor in building a lot of the character that I have. And high school would be much more difficult if I hadn't had him. And I feel like that is extremely key as we look at raising our children. Again, this is not simply sons or daughters. This is children, is giving them opportunities. I use this example. I talked to you about this. I was talking, I was on vacation with some friends and their kids a couple weeks back. And one of the kids was talking about a subject that would be sensitive for any kid to talk to his parents about. And I told him, like, dude, if you want to talk about that with somebody, I know your parent, like his parents were sitting right there. This was not a secret that I was saying this to him, and his parents are open to me talking to him about it. I said, if you want to talk to somebody, hit me up. You have my phone number. We'll go out to lunch and we can talk about this. I know this is a hard conversation to have with your parents. I'm happy to have that conversation with you. Let's sit down and chat about it, and just give you the opportunity to ask and discuss something that would be really hard to talk with your parents about. And it just gives your kids more resources, more tools, more skills in their pocket that they would not otherwise have. And I think that's huge for them.
And there are 100% things that you just don't want to talk to your parents about.
No, 100%.
You know that your parents, like me as a parent, I've told my kids this, but I also know what it's like to be a kid. There is nothing that they could tell me that I haven't heard, don't know about, that would shock me. That would even. The other thing I tell them is that there's nothing that they can do or tell me that I'm going to love them less, or that it's going that they're going to get in trouble for.
Yep.
If they come to me in honesty, I'm going to. They'll be fine. But regardless, sometimes you just need somebody different to go to.
100%.
Yeah. What's your guys' thoughts on these?
I really like Titus 2:7. So it says, let everything you do reflect the integrity and seriousness of your teaching. All of it. The integrity goes to just everything you do in life, whether you're giving back or teaching somebody, or just in general. My father was, again, I revert back to both my parents, my father and my mother. When they had a job to do, they got the job done right. I learned the hard way in life. I didn't always get the job done right the first time, but I had the integrity to go back and make sure that the job was done. And that was something that, you develop over time. And this reflects actions speak louder than words. Even today, and what I'm very blessed and fortunate to be able to do. I love shooting, and I'm a skilled shooter. And when I'm out with other shooters, they're like, you're novice shooters are like, you're amazing, everything else. And it's like, it's hard to take that compliment because you're like, no, I'm not. There's guys out there that
you know where you actually are on
where
that.
I
Yeah.
text my friends. I'm like,
Mhm.
you send me every time. When are we training together? Because I know there's ways to be better in that. But I'm speaking of what is current in my life and what I'm doing currently, not what I did 7 years ago, or leaning on or running on the coattails of my past to say, this is what I'm doing, right? When people ask, are you a shooter? I can say yes, right? When they ask these questions, I want to be able to say my actions justify what my words speak. Or I tell guys all the time, don't worry about the words. Let your gun run.
Yep.
Let your gun speak for you. So I love Titus 2:7 for that, because again, it says, let everything you do reflect the integrity and seriousness of your teaching. And that's purposeful and modeling for actions speak louder than words.
Yeah. Very good. And there are literally at least dozens of other scriptures that we could have pulled out, but I thought these three, one I just thought is neat because it came off of our Flippy thing that the four of us have been going through, but also it tied in perfectly with everything else that we've talked about today.
So, Greg, I don't have a specific comment on these three, but going back to the life skills and skills acquired, a second ago, my son just walked in the room, and that's why I put my thing on mute, and he said, is it okay if I go bake a cake? And I was like, sure, bud, knock yourself out. Like, how many 12-year-old boys come in and be like, I want to go bake a cake, Dad. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, go for it.
My answer.
Clean up your mess.
Yeah.
Go break a few eggs, buddy,
I'll say, stop asking stupid questions.
and make a cake.
Make a cake.
Use your head.
Use your head. And just make the cake.
Don't punch your sister. Come bring me a piece when it's done.
Very good. And there, honestly, there are hours more in this conversation that I'd love to have. But I hope this kind of gets the wheels spinning of let's kind of do just a very quick recap of what are skill sets that we need to teach our kids and other youth. And one of the things I did want to add to this is that the skill sets that we needed as kids are very different than skill sets that kids these days need. So where, are we learning new things ourselves? Because if we're stuck in a roll of ways all the time, then we're not going to be able to help our kids now who need a different skill set. We need to be looking to keep up with our skill set and meet our kids where they need us, and also and help them through that. But also take your kids hunting, take your kids fishing, start fires, shoot guns, make slingshots,
Bake a cake.
Yeah, learn how to sew. Just all these things are just such important things to do. Skill sets are great, but the point of the skill set should be that our character leads us to using those skill sets to help others. And we need to be willing to get uncomfortable, do hard things, because that's how we grow. That's how we're going to see our kids grow, is by expecting them to be uncomfortable and fail and also succeed in those things. Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Cool.
Slip. Throw punch.
Dodge,
Use your head.
Dodge, duck.
You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball.
5 Ds.
All right, let's wrap this baby up. Oh, wait, wrong one.
I did that.
Yep. So easy to do. All right. Thanks for tuning into Life, Liberty, and Equipped. If today's conversation challenged you, encouraged you, or helped you get more equipped to pursue your mission, share it with a friend, drop a comment, and please leave us a review.
Don't forget, we go live on the Neomag YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can be part of the next live show.
And if you're not already a part of a Neomag Insiders Club, now's the time. Get early access to Neomag gear, exclusive content, and front row seat to everything we're building.
Until next time, live boldly, stand for liberty, and stay equipped. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
See ya.
See you later.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining the live today. We will work on that discount code.
Just got a text. Hold on.
Oh, we may have a live update.
So it should be good now.
The code should be good now. We do apologize for that. And if you're having issues and are not logged into your Insider's account, please log into your Insider's account before you try to use Gear Boost for your 20% off discount code for the next 36 hours. Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you. It may be in lowercase now. Like when we shared it, we shared Gear Boost in uppercase. And I'm just clicking on the back end of the website here, and it is Gear Boost in lowercase now. Just want to throw that up.
So it shouldn't really matter.
I don't know if it's cap sensitive or not, but
It's not.
It is not cap
okay.
sensitive.
All right, never mind then. Carry on.
So it should be fixed. If you guys have any issues, go ahead and email info@theneomag.com if you can't use it. But if you're not a insider, you can't use it anyways. So sign up for the Neomag Insiders at our website, and you should be good.
Said it just worked for him.
Well, good deal. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on our YouTube live and hanging out.
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, and Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for hanging out, listening to us talk about character building and kids and cake.
Peter Tingle.
Peter Tingle. Me trying not to say
Yes, I know. I
was trying so hard.
we both struggle. It's we were listening. I was listening back to the podcast. I was like, Nate, you and I really have to work on ums and uhs.
Tried. I did okay. Much better than last time.
Not bad.
Good.
Not bad.
Tried.
Slow pause.
Anyways,
It's so hard to let.
Instead of
It's so hard to allow quiet, silent pauses, and not want to fill it with a.
we'll get better.
But we're getting there.
Getting there. But thank you guys so
Yep.
much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Ending stream.